Here we go. Here we go. There's another episode of Hot Hype versus Cold Facts. I'm your host, MCKC. We've had another interesting week of sports. A lot of crazy headlines, a lot of intriguing headlines. But all these headlines have to be disproven. We're going to go into three more major headlines that are nothing more than hot hype. And we're going to break them down with cold facts. So let's get off with headline number one. Wide receiver Odell Beckham has been a problem everywhere he's went. Now, we've heard this statement said in many different variations in different places by different pundits and different so-called experts. The idea that Odell Beckham, similar to Terrell Owens, has been a bad locker room guy, and he's where he's went, the team has gotten worse, or they've struggled to reach expectations because he's on the roster. All these things have been said about him. One of the main things that's been said about Odell Beckham is he's a diva, and that a lot of top tier wide receivers are nothing more than divas. Let's go ahead and just break that mini myth before we get into the biggest myth here about Odell Beckham being a problem. So let's start off with let's define what exactly is a diva. That's an interesting word here. All right, so it looks like a diva defines itself as a self-important person who is temperamental and difficult to please. Okay, well, saying Odell is difficult to please. Well, what would please Odell? I'm pretty sure doing his job. So let's see what Odell Beckham's job is as a wide receiver in football. Definition for what does a wide receiver do in football? Here we go. A wide receiver in football is a player on offense who is tasked with catching the football thrown by the quarterback and occasionally running the ball. Okay, so it would make sense to say that Odell Beckham would be happy if he gets the ball, he gets to run the ball, he gets to do his job. And if he doesn't, he would be pretty upset if he doesn't get the opportunity to do his job. Like a quarterback that doesn't get to throw the ball, or a defender that doesn't get to hit the offense. Probably pretty upset, wouldn't they be? Would they be acting like a diva though? I don't know. Let's move into the three facts as to why Odell Beckham is not a problem everywhere he's been. So let's just go ahead of the situation Odell Beckham recently left with the Cleveland Browns. He played with the Cleveland Browns for a couple of seasons. It didn't quite work out. He didn't put up the numbers that he had put up back in with the New York Giants. But Odell Beckham was still a pretty good receiver. He still was a pretty talented guy, and the Browns did make some noise and make playoff while he was there. So it's not to say that the team didn't actually excel. If we remember the Cleveland Browns for the last 20 years, they haven't really been anywhere near the playoffs frequently in the last 20 years. But in Odell Beckham's only 3 years there, or 2.5, they've been in the playoffs. So again, that's one reason why we could say Odell has not been a problem or a hindrance, which is an inference by saying he's a problem to what he is. So let's go with facts number one. Fact number one. Jarvis Landry has had underwhelming seasons every year with the Cleveland Browns. So first off, we want to say that Odell Beckham hasn't lived up to expectations in Cleveland. Well, his teammate and another Pro Bowl wide receiver in Jarvis Landry hasn't had his best seasons at all with the Cleveland Browns. So Jarvis Landry's actually had his best seasons with Miami and his worst seasons with the Cleveland Browns. And I don't hear anybody saying that Landry's being overpaid or he's not living up to expectations. We just say that the system hasn't been able to allow Landry the same opportunities that he got while he's with Miami. But for some reason, that same excuse is not being given, or that same reason rather, is not being given to Odell Beckham. So if you even look at Jarvis Landry's numbers, he had 4 years in Miami where 3 out of those 4 years he was a Pro Bowler. And he's had exactly now 4 seasons in Cleveland where he's only had a Pro Bowl appearance in 1 season. And I also have the numbers to compare his years in Miami versus Cleveland. In Miami, Landry would catch about 6.3 catches a game, 63 yards, a 70% completion percentage, 6.6 touches, and almost 9 targets a game. In his 3 years with Cleveland, he has 4.8 catches a game, 60 yards a game, a 61% completion percentage, 5.1 touches per game, and only 7.9 targets. So over 1 more target with Miami, over 1.5 more touches, 9% better catch percentage, and over 1.5 more catches per game. And that equated to 2 more Pro Bowl appearances for Landry. But yet, Odell Beckham, for some reason, is being blamed for not reaching expectations. So within those facts, we could go with A. Landry has never reached 100 catches since playing with Baker Mayfield. He reached that a couple times with Miami. B. Landry's catch percentage has significantly dropped in the years with Baker Mayfield. As we pointed out, only a 61% completion percentage, meaning the percentage of passes caught that are thrown in his direction. 61%. With Cleveland or Baker Mayfield, 70% are better than 2/3 of his catches in Miami. And then lastly, Landry had broken Larry Fitzgerald's record for most receptions in his first 5 seasons. He still even holds the record for most receptions in the first 6 seasons, with 564. Meanwhile, Landry played with Kenny Stills, Devontae Parker, who also had multiple 100-target seasons during those seasons that Landry was catching over 90 balls a year on average. So to say that because Odell Beckham was playing with Landry during those couple years in Cleveland, that's why he went off. But what happened in Miami when he also played with other receivers that caught high levels or was targeted over 100 times? So that's just fact number 1. Fact number 2, Mr. Odell Beckham is not a hurt or hurts any team that he's with, but he really helps every team that he's with. In every year that Odell Beckham played more than 12 games with the New York Giants, the offense improved over the year before. And these are seasons where Odell led in touches. Okay? He was hurt in 2017, so let's look at from 2013 to 2014, the Giants went from 28th in points to 13th. 28th in yards to 10th. Okay? That's just Odell Beckham's rookie year. Odell Beckham's sophomore year, the Giants continued to improve. They went from 13th in points to 6th. They went from 10th in yards to 8th. Odell Beckham got hurt in 2017. So let's go into his first year in which he was actually healthy and back with the Giants again. The Giants the year before were 31st in points. They improved to 16th, Odell Beckham's first healthy season back. They were 21st in yards. They improved to 17 the very next year. Odell Beckham effect. So, those are just some stats. So maybe again, Odell Beckham doesn't have much of a good effect. Numbers prove differently. Now, fact number 3 to prove that Odell Beckham helps every team that he's on, and specifically in this Cleveland situation, why it was more of a situational thing for Odell Beckham. Odell Beckham was never the leading receiver in Cleveland. That is a fact. So when I say that, I'm not saying that to make my opinion because he wasn't target. Like, that's real. Odell Beckham was never the leading targeted receiver in any year that he was with Cleveland. In both years, that was Landry. So in Odell's best season with Cleveland, which was 2019, Odell Beckham had 74 catches, 1,035 yards, 1,000-yard season. Yes, he did have that with Cleveland. 4 touchdowns, 77 total touches. He had a total of 133 targets in that year. In that very same year, Jarvis Landry had 138 targets, 5 more than Odell, 83 catches, 9 more than Odell, 1,174 yards, almost over 100 yards more. 6 touchdowns, that's 2 more touchdowns, and 84 total touches, 7 more touches than Odell Beckham. So even Odell's best year in Cleveland, Landry was the most targeted and the better receiver of the two, statistically speaking and production speaking. Even in Odell Beckham's 2020 season that was cut short, we went ahead and we did the numbers to show what it would be at a full season if he'd have continued the whole year. Odell only played 7 games that year with 23 catches, 43 targets, 319 yards, 3 touchdowns. That's 26 touches. If we now juxtapose that proportionalized to 16 games, that would be 98 total targets for 53 catches, 730 36 yards, 7 touchdowns, and only 59 total targets. Landry in that actual season ended up with 15 games, not 16, 15 games, 101 targets, which would have still been 3 more than the projection for Odell, 72 catches, which would have been 19 more than the projection for Odell, 840 yards, that's over 100 yards more than the projection. It would have been 3 touchdowns and 76 total touches. So in no season there that Odell has been with Cleveland was he even projected or targeted or prioritized as the leading receiver, which he was in all of his best seasons with the New York Football Giants. And now lastly, this will be my last little tidbit. Kevin Stefanski was the head coach of the Cleveland Browns last year and into this year, where Odell Beckham had the most problems in the Cleveland Brown offensive system. And Kevin Stefanski's 1 year as offensive coordinator of Minnesota, that was 2019. In that year, their best receiver was Stephan Diggs, who had his worst career numbers in terms of targets, receptions, and touches since his rookie year, which forced him to actually demand a trade. The very next season, when she was moved to Buffalo, Stephan Diggs posted his career numbers in 2020, being an all-pro, which means best 3 receivers in the entire NFL for the first time in his career. The point that I point out with that statement and those tips right there, or that bit of information, Kevin Stefanski is known for running an offense that does not prioritize any one receiver. It's known for getting the ball out fast, prioritizing the run and the play action. Therefore, saying that Stephan Diggs, who nobody will dispute is an elite receiver as he was an all-pro last season, he had his worst season as a wide receiver the 1 year that Kevin Stefanski was calling the plays as an offensive coordinator with Minnesota. That's to point out that Odell Beckham having his worst season with Kevin Stefanski being the lead offensive mind in Cleveland is not a coincidence if you ask Stephan Diggs. Hence, Odell Beckham is a problem everywhere he goes. Is nothing more than a hot hype. And these are some cold facts to cool that off. Moving into headline number 2. This one has gotten really hot lately. I've seen this picking up lately as one of the most infamous NBA teams is struggling a little bit to find its footing in the new NBA season. Headline number 2. Los Angeles Lakers point guard Russell Westbrook doesn't fit with the Los Angeles Lakers. Well, first thing we're going to do here is we're going to have to define what fit. What's the definition of fit? What does a fit actually mean? So, a quick Google search, and definition here says it's an adjective in this setting. How does Russell Westbrook fit with the Los Angeles Lakers? So that is an adjective. So our definition is fit is of a suitable quality, standard, or type to meet the required purpose. So in this particular situation, Russell Westbrook's job is to be a playmaker, go out there and produce, put numbers on the board, and help the Lakers win games. Now, how has Russell Westbrook done this his whole career? He's been known as the triple-double and an elite defender and elite playmaker, one of the better passers in the league. Now, the way we're going to dispel this little myth that Russell Westbrook doesn't fit with the Lakers, the question would be now, does Russell Westbrook make the Lakers worse than they were last year? Or does he make them better than they were last year? Does he make them a better team than what they were before him? Or is he a better team with him? That question will be answered by the end of the NBA season, but we're only 2 weeks in. So I'm going to use some facts to prove that at least at this point of the season, that is nothing more than a hot hype, a pure myth. So again, fact number 1. Russell Westbrook has a history of starting slow with new teams. So we have those stats. So far, Russell Westbrook has only played 18 games out of 82 for the Los Angeles Lakers. So that translates to about 20% of the games. So I went ahead and did 20% of his first games with the Houston Rockets when he first was traded there in 2019-20 season, and the Washington Wizards, which he was traded there last season in their first 14 games. So it perfectly equates to 14 games with each team. So let's start off with the Houston situation, which was in 2019. In the first 14 games, Russell Westbrook averaged 30.5 minutes, 21.8 points per game. He shot it at 44% shooting, 7.7 rebounds, 6.8 assists per game. Over the course of the rest of the season, which translated to 57 games, he would average 36 minutes per game. He would shoot the ball at 47%, which is 3% better. He would average 7.9 rebounds, which is 0.2 rebounds better. 7.0 assists, 0.2 assists better. But a whopping 27.2 points per game, which is over 5 points better than he was averaging over the first 14 games. So in Houston, he proved over the course of the season, as he got more comfortable, he contributed more to the offensive side of the ball, as well as becoming more efficient as his shooting percentage went up. Then we went into last season, which was a little bit more dramatic, and it shows our point a little bit more as he switched to another team and went to another situation for the second consecutive season. So in the first 14 games with Washington last season, he averaged 32.5 minutes per game. He made 7.1 shots per game on 17.2 attempts, which is a 41% shooting. And he shot it at 33% from the three-point line, averaging 9.2 rebounds per game and 9.1 assists on 19.4 points per game. And the record over those 14 games that he played for the Washington Wizards was 2-12. Yes, they won only 2 out of their first 14 games for Russell Westbrook. Then the remainder of the season, they went 32-26 for the remainder of the season, got to 34-38 for the year. Russell Westbrook averaged 36 minutes, played in 65 total games, got a shooting percentage up to 43% shooting, averaged 22 points per game, 11.5 rebounds per game, and 11.7 assists per game. So his assists went up by 2.6, his rebounds went up by 2.3, and his points went up by 3 points. And the team started to play over 500 basketball with Russell Westbrook. So my point again, he's proven in even just the last 2 years that over the first 20% of the games, he has a way of starting slow and over the remainder of the year turning it up to Russell Westbrook Mr. Triple-Double level. But let's go into fact number 2. This is a little bit of a food for thought to consider. We have point guard superstar of the Portland Trail Blazers, Damian Lillard, has showed similar struggles this season in 2021-2022. Also, Mike Conley struggled in his first year with Utah after many years in Memphis. And Kyle Lowry this season is struggling in his first year with the Miami Heat after many years with the Toronto Raptors. So let's start off with Damian Lillard. Damian Lillard's struggles can be attributed to the fact that he has his first new head coach in well over 5 seasons. Taking over for Terry Stotts, who has been with the Portland Trail Blazers for several years, is rookie head coach Chauncey Billups. Now, Chauncey Billups is known as a Hall of Fame NBA basketball player, point guard of the NBA championship Detroit Pistons in the early thousands. But this is his first year being a head coach, as he was only assistant coach with the LA Clippers last year under Tyronn Lue. And for Damian Lillard, this is his first new head coach in a long time. So the result is, in the first 16 games of 2021, Damian Lillard is having his worst numbers since his rookie season. He's only averaging 21 points per game on 39% field goal shooting and a miserable 29% from the three-point line. Damian Lillard is known as Logo Lillard for his extensive long range from the three-point line. He is a career 37% three-point shooter, which is an elite number. And again, this year he's only shooting 29% from the three-point line. Career-wise, he usually averages about 25 points per game. Again, right now he's only averaging 21. Career, he averages 44% field goal shooter. He's only shooting 39% right now. That can be attributed to the new head coach, a new situation. But nobody's saying that Damian Lillard is a bad fit for the Portland Trail Blazers. Let's move into Mike Conley. After spending his whole career with the Memphis Grizzlies as their starting point guard, Mike Conley in his first year with the Utah Jazz in 2019-20 suffered his worst numbers since his rookie season. In that 1 year, or his first year rather, with the Utah Jazz, he averaged 29 minutes, 14.4 points per game, 4.4 assists. He shot the ball at 40%, 37% from the three-point line, and less than a steal per game. at 0.8 steals per game. Now compare that to the last 3 seasons that he had in Memphis before joining the Utah Jazz. He was averaging 32 minutes per game, 19.6 points per game, 5.6 assists per game. He was a 43% shooter over that time and a 38% shooter from the 3-point line while averaging over 1.1 steals per game. So again, he was a 3% better shooter, shot better from the 3-point line, averaged 5 more points per game and 3 minutes more per game, and even almost 2 more assists per game in just the 3 years averages before his first year with the Utah Jazz. Meaning again, after many years in another situation, a struggle is going to happen for somebody that's a veteran that's used to playing it a certain way. The last play that I pointed out of the 3 for our fact number 2 is Kyle Lowry. Kyle Lowry is a champion, big-time player for the Toronto Raptors. So in the past 3 years with the Toronto Raptors, he was averaging 34 minutes per game, 16.9 points per game, which breaks out to about 17 points per game, 7.8 assists, that's 8 assists per game, 42% shooting on a 37% three-point shooting. Meanwhile, so far, through the first about 12 games with the Miami Heat, in his first year with the Miami Heat, Kyle Lowry is averaging 34.5 minutes per game, which is equates to what he was averaging with Toronto, but he's only averaging 12.0 points per game, lowest of his career since his point guard, since his rookie season. He's averaging 7.6 assists per game, which is close to what he was doing in Toronto at 7.8. But he's shooting 40%, which is down 2% from his averages in Toronto. And he's averaging 30% from the 3-point line, which is 7 points down for what he was averaging in Toronto. So yes, he's averaging 5 points less, and he's shooting the ball 7% less so far with Miami. Would anybody say so far Kyle Lowry has been a bad fit with the Miami Heat? No, not at all. He's actually looked pretty good with the Miami Heat. They win in games. But his numbers are down because he's still adjusting to a new situation. First year there, first year stats. Now, my fact number 3 is going to get a little controversial. I know this well in advance, so I want you everybody in the comment section, go ahead and let your comments go. Get ready. It's going to get real. Now, fact 3. Russell Westbrook has a better record against the West top contenders in the last 2 seasons. Now, this is a fact. This is undisputable. So those top 3 contenders in the Western Conference this year are the Golden State Warriors, the Phoenix Suns, who are the defending Western Conference champions, and the Utah Jazz, who had the best record in the West last year and a top 3 record right now. Now, the starting point guards for each one of those teams, we could break down the record that Westbrook has against them all. Now, against those 3, which would now be Steph Curry with the Warriors, Chris Paul with the Phoenix Suns, and Mike Conley with the Utah Jazz, Russell Westbrook has a 6-5 record against the 3 in the last 2 seasons. But now here's where it gets controversial. Nobody would question that Steph Curry is arguably the favorite right now to be the MVP this year, as the Warriors has broken out to the best record in the NBA. But here's on a basketball level, basketball player for basketball player, if we compare Russell Westbrook to Steph Curry, here's the greater debate. Who's the better basketball player? Now, again, right now I'm pretty sure everybody's screaming at the screen. Hands down, that's Steph Curry, the greatest shooter of all time. He has to be the better player. But no, I said the better basketball player. So let's break down the game of basketball. The game of basketball breaks down into 5 different phases. It goes into shooting, passing, playmaking, rebounding, and defense. Those are the 5 core principles of the game of basketball. Those are the 5 skills that you need to master to be an elite level basketball player. So now if we compare basketball player for basketball player, Russell Westbrook to Steph Curry. Now there's actually a great article out there too. I'll pull it up in the comment section. I'll put it up in the description for Russell Westbrook versus Steph Curry before he became the MVP Russell Westbrook, when it was still point guard Russell Westbrook for the OKC versus Steph Curry, the up-and-coming stars Golden State. This was years ago this article came out. And it was just comparing the 2 point guards and the different styles that they played. But now let's just look at it right now. Let's go through it. Russell Westbrook as a basketball player versus Stephen Curry as a basketball player. So let's start off with shooting. We can definitely hands down say shooting the basketball, Steph Curry's a better shooter than Russell Westbrook. Stephen Curry's probably the best shooter in the NBA's history. I'm pretty sure there is nobody that really can compete with Steph Curry other than maybe Ray Allen, Kevin Durant, and his teammate Klay Thompson in terms of shooting the basketball that are close to Steph Curry in the NBA history. So that's hands down Steph Curry. But now smoking the passing. Now Russell Westbrook has led the league in passing several years. He's led his averages over 11 assists multiple times. Passing the basketball, that is Russell Westbrook over Stephen Curry. Stephen Curry's never averaged more than 9 assists in a season. So that's Russell Westbrook. So that's 1 for Russ, 1 for Curry. Now we go into playmaking. Now this could be a disputable topic, or this could be a disputable point. This is something that we can get in the comment section and definitely argue about playmaking. Now playmaking goes into like setting up your teammates, open up the court, your style of play, being able to set up your teammates for success in many different fashions. So some way that Steph Curry playmaking ability might not show an assist, because a lot of the times he passes the ball and he opens up the next pass. So he would get a lot more hockey assists if there was a hockey assist in the NBA. But if we just go into the idea of playmaking, there's really no comparison in terms of Russell Westbrook and Steph Curry. Russell Westbrook creates a different kind of pace to the game of basketball that no other player has really done, probably since maybe Jason Kidd, maybe Magic Johnson, that could bring a breakneck pace to the game as soon as they get the ball in their hands. There's only few players that have been able to do that in NBA history. Russell Westbrook is one of those. And despite some people saying that Russell Westbrook does not have a high basketball IQ, he might not have the highest basketball IQ like a Chris Paul or a Steph Curry, but his ability to decipher what the defense is going to do and be able to make the game easy for his teammates. There's really not a lot of players in NBA history at the level of Russell Westbrook's ability to play make for his team and from the position of the point guard position that he plays out of. So that I would have to give to Russell Westbrook. So now we have playmaking and passing for Russell West, shooting to Steph Curry, so that's 2-1. Now let's go into rebounding. Rebounding, this is hands down, Russell Westbrook is the best rebounding guard in NBA history. He's the only NBA guard that has ever averaged more than 10 rebounds in a season, and he's done that more than 4 seasons in his career. So we're not even going to go into that. Stephen Curry doesn't even want to get into that. That's Russell Westbrook. So now we have 3-1 Russell Westbrook. So now lastly, we have defense. Now, Stephen Curry's overlooked. He is definitely an above average defender. Stephen Curry uses basketball IQ to be in the right places. He has good hands. He has one of the best hand-eye coordination in NBA history. Stephen Curry gets his hands in steals. He's a good off-ball defender, but Stephen Curry would break down as a solid or above average defender. Russell Westbrook has been an elite defender for many years in the NBA. So again, defense now, not even need to argue much. He's been an all NBA defensive player. He's actually been top 5 in steals multiple years. So Russell Westbrook again is the better defender. That is not even debatable. So defense goes to Russell Westbrook. So now if we break it down in terms of just the game of basketball and the 5 skills of basketball, we have Russell Westbrook 4 to Stephen Curry 1. So in this point we would have to now say Russell Westbrook is the better basketball player than Stephen Curry. Now I get that soundbite right there. I know some people are going to take it as blasphemy, crazy. Well, put that in the comment section. Prove to me that I'm wrong. Prove to me somehow that based on the game of basketball, Steph Curry is better than Russell Westbrook at the game of basketball. Because now, the way that I look at it, I'm also a basketball coach. Russell Westbrook can do a lot more things. He can hide a lot more things about my other players than what Steph Curry can do just shooting the basketball. And that's just the reality of the game of basketball. Now, a nice little comparison that I'll give to make people, again, argue some more, get in the comment section, argue some more. 2 Hall of Fame legends that will easily make my point a little bit further on why this is an unfair kind of debate. And the reality of it is this is about basketball. When people say that Steph Curry is a better player than Russell Westbrook, that would be equivalent to saying that Dirk Nowitzki was a better basketball player than Kevin Garnett. Now we both seen they won MVPs back-to-back years. With Dirk, I believe, won 04 and Kevin Garnett won 05, or I think it's Garnett won 04 and then Dirk won 05. They both were power forwards at the same time of the year, same times of their career. They was in primes at the same time, basically. You have Kevin Garnett as a legendary Hall of Fame power forward. Dirk Nowitzki is arguably the greatest European player, international player ever played power forward. They are both power forwards. But we will definitely say, again, other than shooting the basketball, there is nothing that Dirk could have did better than Kevin Garnett. We would never say that Dirk was better than Kevin Garnett, hands down. But we're allowing ourselves to let the beauty and the aesthetics of Steph Curry's beautiful shooting, amazing shooting, overshadow the fact that he's not a better basketball player than Russell Westbrook. And Russell Westbrook is one of the most special players we've ever seen in NBA history, just like Steph Curry. Now, that was hot hype number 2. And let's get into hot hype, or let's get into topic or headline number 3. Now, this is another one that has been pushed to the forefront by the media. It's been a lot of bias involved in it, and I'm just here to just kind of dispel it. But let's go ahead and get into this topic and this headline, which I've heard recently, especially over the last week and a half. We have New England rookie sensation quarterback Mac Jones beat out former MVP Cam Newton for the quarterback position with the New England Patriots this season. Now, that is nothing more than a myth. Now, I get that he is the starting quarterback now, and in the beginning of training camp, it was an open competition, and the fact that he became the starting quarterback, it looked like that mean that he beat Cam. Therefore, he had to have won out that competition, and that's why Cam left and was released from the New England Patriots. But as we've seen, Cam Newton has already contributed to a win for Carolina. He's now the starting quarterback with the Carolina Panthers again, which would mean again Cam Newton is actually a starting level quarterback in the NFL. So the debate that Cam Newton is not a starting level quarterback, that's out the window. We don't even need to debate that in this particular one. But the idea that Mac Jones beat out Cam Newton during that preseason that we saw, that is nothing more than a myth. And I'm going to have to give you down three facts to break down why Mac Jones did not actually beat Cam Newton out for the starting quarterback position with the New England Patriots. Now, the first thing we're going to do here is we're going to define what a quarterback is, what a quarterback's job actually is, and what a quarterback's responsibilities. Now, the reason I'm doing this is because for some reason we don't give a player like Cam Newton, who is one of the greatest dual threat quarterbacks of all time, his just due of what he's supposed to do as a quarterback. So now, okay, here we go. The job of the quarterback is give me 1 second here. I'm trying to get this definition together. What a quarterback's job is. Basically, it says a quarterback's job is to direct or coordinate a team's operation or offensive. Okay, so the key here is the job of Cam Newton was basically to direct or coordinate the offensive system. So unfortunately, we've been making it look that it's all about just throwing the ball and making passes and getting ball to your receivers accurately is the only thing that matters as a quarterback. Those are the stats that have been pushed. But yet, Cam Newton has been a great quarterback based on the fact that he also is a supreme threat with his legs, not just his arms. So let's start off with my fact number 1. Cam Newton is a better quarterback than Mac Jones. Now you would say, well, Kyle, how can you make that point that Mac Jones is a better rookie? Cam Newton has been in the league for many years. Like, how can you compare the two? Absolutely we can. Mac Jones has played 11 NFL starts. We can go to Cam Newton's first 11 starts. And we can point out who was better over the course of their first 11 starts. And again, that's going to just prove my first fact. But let's just get into the numbers, though. So Mac Jones over his first 11 games, okay? He's thrown the ball 349 times. He's completed it 245 times. That's for a 70% completion percentage. That's been for 540 passing yards, for 14 passing touchdowns, 8 interceptions, 22 sacks, 25 rushes for 60 yards and 4 fumbles. His total accountable stats is 2,600 yards for 14 touchdowns. That goes for 236 yards per game, 1.2 touchdowns per game. Now, if we look at Cam Newton's first 11 starts in the NFL, Cam Newton threw the ball 392 times for 239 completions. That goes for a 61% completion percentage. But that total for over 3,000 yards, 3,092 yards. That went for 12 passing touchdowns to 14 interceptions, 26 sacks, but he had 86 rushes for over 464 yards and 10 rushing touchdowns. Total accountability for Cam Newton, he was accountable for over 3,556 yards, 22 touchdowns, which accounted for 324 yards per game and over 2 touchdowns per game. Now again, let's do the comparison again. Mac Jones averaged 236 yards per game. Cam Newton, 324. That breaks down to about 80 yards more per game. Cam was good for 22 touchdowns over the first 11 games. That's over 2 per game. Again, Mac Jones, only 14. A little bit more than 1 per game. Cam again, over 2 per game. Now, we want to get into the team record. They're saying again, Mac Jones has led the New England Patriots to a 7-4 record. Cam Newton, over the first 11 games, they had a 3-8 record. But over the last 5 games, they went 3-2 and Cam won Rookie of the Year. Right now, Mac Jones is not the favorite to win Rookie of the Year. So that's again, fact 1, Cam Newton was a better quarterback over his first 11 starts. Then reason number 2, Mac Jones did not beat Cam for the starting job. And when we get into they like to get into the rookie years about how, Cam rookie season, you could look at the fact that they went 2-14. They went 6-10 as Cam went as a rookie. Versus New England, looks like they might even make the postseason. They're 7-4 right now. They might win 10 games. But the reason that Mac is looking better is for fact 2. The 2021 New England Patriots is just a much better team. That's a fact. So the 2021 New England defense is allowing only 177 points. Has only allowed 177 points total in these first 11 games. That totals to 16 points per game. Over the first 11 games for the 2011 Carolina defense, they gave up 305 points and they averaged 27 points per game allowed. They were actually ranked the last in the league on defense. Second thought about New England team being much better. The year before, this New England team, the 2020 New England, was a 7-9 team that barely missed the playoffs by a couple of games. 2 games to be exact. The 2010 Carolina team, that's the year before Cam's rookie year, they went 2-14. Significantly worse team. Then the last part about we proving about New England's a better team, the 2021 New England head coach is Big Belichick. He's a 6-time NFL champion. He's a 3-time NFL coach of the year. His career winning percentage, 67%. At this point in his career, has won 67% of his games. Has been a coach for well over 20 seasons. In Cam Newton's rookie year, in 2011 Carolina, their head coach, Ron Rivera, he was a first-year rookie head coach. Had no career winning percentage. And little tidbit, over his first 2 years in Carolina, Ron Rivera was 2-14 in games decided by less than a touchdown. Let's move right into fact number 3, that why Mac Jones did not beat Cam Newton for the starting job. Fact 3. The COVID status of Cam Newton is what pushed Mac Jones to win the New England starting job. That is a fact. We're just going to give you a couple of points of why that has to be accurate. This is not my opinion. This is just fact. Number one, or numbers number one. Mac Jones had 59 dropbacks to Cam Newton's 21 in preseason play. The fact that Mac Jones had a lot more work was because he's the rookie quarterback and they already had seen what they needed to out of Cam Newton. Stat number two. Cam Newton had 0 rushing attempts in the entire 3 preseason game season. What separates Cam Newton from most quarterbacks is his ability to run the football. He was top 5 in 2020 rushing touchdowns as a quarterback. The fact that he had no rushing attempts in the preseason showcased that he didn't even show half of what he has as a dual quarterback. Therefore, again, Mac Jones didn't show that he was a better quarterback based on the preseason. Stat number 3. Cam Newton missed 4 practices from COVID protocol and also missed a game last season from catching COVID-19. Bill Belichick stated that the biggest key to his starting quarterback is reliability of availability. So knowing that Cam missed 4 practices for COVID protocol and missed a game last season and was affected self-admittedly by Cam Newton, but up to 4 games because of it, that is another huge reason why right after Cam Newton returned back from COVID protocol, he was released. Why wasn't after the Sunday game Mac Jones named the starter if he beat Cam Newton? Usually in a competition, when you win, they name the starter, then they release the incumbent. Cam Newton was released first, then Mac Jones was named the starter. That lets me know Mac Jones did not win the starting job. Cam Newton gave it, or Mac was good enough to be named over Cam Newton. So with that being said, this was nothing more than another media hot hype that has been spreading around for much too long, that Mac Jones beat Cam Newton for the New England Patriots starting quarterback position. That is simply nothing more than a hot hype. These were some cold facts to prove that Cam Newton is still a better quarterback than Mac Jones. And New England would have been a better team if Cam Newton was the starting quarterback this year. That is not my belief. That is not my subjective bias hope. That is just cold facts. And again, if you don't have the facts to prove differently, put it in the comment section. And this was another episode 2 of Hot Hype versus Cold Facts. Saying here is objectivity is the only integrity, and we're here to bring back sports journalism integrity. So here I gave you nothing more than facts to break down these headlines. Please, again, I love to get the debates. If you feel differently, if you got other facts, or if you want me to break down other topics, hit me on Twitter or leave it in the comment section. This was episode 2 of Hot Hypes versus Cold Facts. I'm your host, MC KC. Till next week. Peace.